first time in my life I've ever been signed off sick due to. I don't know where that's going to take me. I think I need to get another blog. It was just one of those moments where I go, God, what is this? Why am I doing this?
On this week's episode of The Engaging Marketeer, I'm speaking to Anne Currie, who went from being a solicitor to renting out a camper van. Now, that's what I call a career change. How do you leave the world of legal and law to renting out camper vans to people going on their hollybobs? I'm going to speak to Anne about how that happened, why she made that decision, and what she's doing now. But most importantly, what she learned from marketing in terms of promoting her own business, selling, renting out campers. And when you first started, you were in a very different career to what you were in right now, weren't you? You were a solicitor. What made you want to join the legal profession originally?
That's a good question, because I don't really know where that spark came from, to be quite honest. So to take you back, 10-year-old Anne up to probably 16 or 17-year-old Anne wanted to be a writer and a journalist. And 10-year-old Anne went as far as writing a little novel in a jovel, like a jotter. We call them jotters in Scotland, little notebooks, basically. And so I wrote this novel at the age of 10. It's a very short novel. It was only one jotter, but it was, the whole intention was there, but a novel about a girl that played tennis and was very good. And I have no idea, because I didn't play tennis as a kid. But
so you didn't play tennis. You just wrote a novel about a girl that played tennis.
Played tennis, yeah. I don't know.
Okay. So did you have any ambitions to play tennis yourself?
Say that again, sorry.
Did you have any ambitions to play tennis yourself?
No, none at all. I think we were just a bit seduced by, we used to love watching Wimbledon. My best friend and I at the time used to have all these tennis matches just out in the street, being, in Glasgow. Like the rougher part of Glasgow, where we would just make up our own games. So and then I wanted to, I started my university degree studying English. But the good thing is in Scotland is that you get a chance to do like a general arts degree. So I actually managed to do English, history, politics, psychology and sociology, which then led me to think, well, actually English, is that really that useful, analysing Joseph Conrad's Heart of Darkness when you don't even have a clue what the novel's all about. So especially history and politics, because it was obviously slightly more analytical, and politics is obviously very grounded in current day, society.
Well, there's a lot of stuff in the news today about politicians saying that it's a bit of a waste of time doing arts degrees like English and history. We should be doing trades. I disagree with that vehemently, as possibly as I can, but that's what's going on at the moment, isn't it?
There's a lot of that, and some of it I could see where they're coming from, in the sense that if you're paying for a degree, you might want to do something that's a bit more vocational. But equally, how do you get to... See, these degrees teach you how to be a critical thinker, in my opinion. And it's
they
not
also don't want, though, do they? They don't want the public to be critically thinking.
No, exactly.
That's the problem.
Exactly. And I think it's that kind of, we tell them what politics is all about. They might actually vote sensibly. We don't want that.
No, we don't want that,
no. So history and politics, slightly more critical. I've gone off the path a bit, but basically I did want to be a writer and a journalist, and that ambition was quite firmly held right up until university. And then I just somehow had a bit of a crisis of confidence about being a journalist, because the background to that is that I am hard of hearing and that I wear 2 hearing aids. And suddenly I just kind of thought, could I cope with working in a busy newsroom? Could I cope with going to news conferences? I suppose my idea of journalism was covering crime. So the idea of going to like a big police conference and not hearing what was going on. So I think that's where that came from, with hindsight. And then I had the slight misfortune, it's only a slight misfortune in the scheme of things, to graduate in 1991 when there was a recession on, and that meant it was harder to get a graduate job. So if we're talking about careers, my very first career was actually in the job centre. Believe it or not, I worked as a benefits officer in the job centre, and not the best of jobs, but it did teach me a lot about human behaviour, and just that kind of people that didn't have jobs, that were really on the edge of poverty. It was just kind of, it's quite humbling, I guess. It's kind of, yeah, having that empathy.
Is this job centre in Glasgow?
It was actually, believe it or not, in Chippenham in Wiltshire. My
okay, that's a bit different.
Yeah, a bit of a he's my husband now, but at the time he's my boyfriend, and he had a job in Chippenham, and I didn't have a job anywhere, so I said, "Well, sod it, I'm coming down." And so I ended up at the job centre in Chippenham, which was quite a culture shock, not least because the accent is totally different. That's another story.
Well, you've not lost the accent at all, have you?
No, I haven't. No, and I certainly didn't pick up a West Country one, did I?
You have not. No. You've held on to that Glaswegian.
So, and I think from there, it's probably my husband. Why don't you think about a law degree? So I went back to night school and did a law A-level. I actually found it quite interesting. I found the whole, again, it comes back to the concepts of politics, history. It's kind of intermeshed. There's a lot of sociology in it. There's a lot of history, legal history, how the legal system came to be, politics, and as in how we organise society. So I did find it quite interesting. I still got an A in the A-level, which suggests I did have some aptitude for it. So I went ahead and went back to university to do the conversion course. So it's a 1-year conversion course, followed by the 1-year professional course that everybody does. And qualified as a lawyer in 1998. And by this time, we'd moved up to Merseyside, which is obviously where we are now, in 1995. I managed to, as I say, get a training contract and qualify in 1998. And that was me up until 2017, almost 20 years of being a lawyer.
So what sort of law were you doing then? What kind of clients did you work with?
So I did a mixture. I started at a firm where I did a mixture of personal injury, professional negligence, and medical negligence. And I really enjoyed that mix of it. And I enjoyed the kind of the negligence because, idealistic as it sounds, I did set out to help people. That's what I wanted to do. And that's what I thought going into the law would enable me to do. I'm going to help people. I'm going to help people navigate a system that's actually, it's not impenetrable, but it can be difficult. I don't know if it's intentionally made like that, but
it is set out to make it hard for people to understand.
I think so. Sometimes it can be. I think it's, if you were being cynical, it's made like that so the lawyers can make the money and. But anyway,
and this is coming from a former lawyer here. This is a former lawyer saying this.
So I did a mixture of those three things. I did that mainly for claimants initially, and then I actually got headhunted to work for the defendant side for quite a big firm in Liverpool to work for the insurance companies. So poacher turned gamekeeper, whatever the expression is.
How did that make you feel then when you're originally helping people get money that they're possibly very, very overdue because of something that's happened to them, to then defending people that have perhaps have done something very wrong?
I don't know if I felt it was something wrong, because then it was just a case. It's in my mind. Then it just switched to, this is a problem to be solved. This is kind of right. Okay, so they're saying this. We say this. More often than not, in negligence claims, the claimant's going to win unless there's some fraud there. So it's more a case of just trying to negotiate a decent settlement that, in my view, satisfies everybody. That's possibly where I didn't go down too well in the law, because it's kind of like, oh no, you need to get as much as you can for us. I said, that's really not how I want to work. I want to work on the basis that if we can get to a win-win, why wouldn't we? You know, everybody goes away at least a little bit satisfied, because if you've already admitted liability, this is just about working out how much is due, really. So it's just a tough profession as well, because I think there's a very strong kind of ethic about billing, working long hours, and that really wasn't conducive to having children. I had my children in 2006. I had twins, and I did find that really hard. I found there was one day, I remember it quite clearly actually, I'd worked for something like 10, 11 hours, and my husband was obviously at home with the kids. And I fell asleep on the train on the way home and ended up in the wrong station. And it was just one of those moments where I go, God, what is this? Why am I doing this? It's just not what I really want out of life. I didn't have children just to not see them. So
makes you realise the work-life balance isn't there, and perhaps you need to readjust what you're doing.
It's a shame, because I did enjoy the work. I did actually enjoy the day-to-day work. I enjoyed the coming in. There was look, there's a new file, right? There was nothing better to me than getting a new file and suddenly working it all out, and right, this has happened and that's happened and they've said this and we've said that, and we just need to, to try and get to that resolution. I always really enjoyed that.
I guess every file then, it's a story, isn't it? There's a narrative of something that's happened. Yeah. So it would be interesting, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And it's kind of, why have you said that? Why did someone do that? So I think that it was at that point, I think it was at 2010, I took a sabbatical just to see, just for a bit of a breather, really. The kids would be 4. So I took the first year at school off just to get a bit of a breather, maybe to sort of think about, is this really what I wanted to do? So the doubts have always been there, probably. They've always been there. But eventually, the money pulls you back in, which with hindsight is not something that I should really let myself be sucked back in, but it did suck me back in, because obviously it's important for a certain degree of security. And I'm not sitting here saying I really want the Merc on the drive or the big house. That's not me at all, but it does give you a certain security. I was actually listening to the High Performance podcast. Has become a recent favourite. I didn't think it would be my thing, and it actually had a really interesting episode with Rick Astley, of all people.
Oh yeah.
Saying, it was really interesting. It was just because he came from a fairly similar northern. Well, he's from the outskirts of Warrington, but a northern upbringing, working class upbringing, which like mine. And he said, once I made some of the money out of Never Gonna Give You Up, I felt like I had enough security. He used the word security. And that was almost like a light bulb moment for me. Because it's kind of, yes, that's what the money means. It doesn't mean the money as such. It just means security to me. It means that kind of not having to worry about it. So that was interesting. I suppose that's why it kept coming. I kept ricocheting back to is what I'm trying to say. It would give you that security. So I kind of pushed on a bit through some really quite stressful jobs where there was far too much to be done. The bosses weren't great. None of the bosses I worked for were particularly great after that. Some were before that, but after that they weren't. And then finally in 2017, I actually cracked, and I had burnout and stress. I got signed off sick, and that's the first time in my life I've ever been signed off sick due to stress. And it was just such a relief, to be quite honest, which just shows you how bad it was, because up until that point I'd have been horrified about being signed off sick for stress. But I just remember coming home and sleeping all day, or sleeping for a couple of hours, and then waking up and going, oh, thank God, and that was it. So I suppose that if we come back to what people should take away from it, if you've got the doubts like me for a few years before, don't get to that point. Don't get to that point, and explore them and act on them, and work on them. Maybe even go and see like a coach or a therapist or someone to work through, because that's not something. The burnout and the stress and the breakdown was not something that I'd recommend. Obviously, it's set me on a nice path now, and I'm happy. But
Yeah.
That's.
But at the time, though, you say it would have been better if you'd spoken to a therapist or a coach and you'd not ended up burning out with stress. But how would you have known that was happening? Were there signs building up to it?
But the point was that in 2010, I did a counselling course. I'd had some therapy myself back in 2010, because the work, I think it was the work situation. I didn't come away from the therapy with very many answers. What's also interesting was when I was thinking about this in terms of, because obviously we talked about this before the podcast, and that my story is one of career changing. And I actually checked when I bought this book, but I bought a book in 2013, and it's called "What Should I Do with My Life?" And I don't know if we can maybe put this in the notes for people afterwards, if there's anybody listening to this or watching this that wants to maybe learn from it or is thinking about a similar change. It's Cole Bronson, which is the weirdest name, but he's a very respected American journalist. And this book is the weirdest book because it's just a collection of tales of people that were looking for their purpose in life. It's not even about changing careers. There's something about it that sung to me. It was like, oh, what should I do in my life? Well, yeah, I want to find out what I want to do with my life, because maybe this isn't for me. And it's just a collection of tales. I remember finishing it and thinking, that didn't tell me what to do. And that's obviously not the whole point of the book. I went back to it at some point later, and I understood then it was just a collection of tales for you to reflect on. So it's definitely a book that I'd recommend, even if you're not thinking about changing careers. There's actually some really interesting people in it. If you're interested in people like I am, and people's tales, then it's definitely worth reading.
So on the day you were signed off and you went home, how did that day start?
I'd gone into work. I'd actually gone into work and
started. A normal day then?
Pardon?
So it's like a normal day?
Normal day. Gone into work, 9 a.m., sat at my desk. I can't remember the exact trigger. I know it was the 4th of July, 2017. But I can't remember the exact trigger, but I think I just sat there and fled to tears and said, I can't do this. So I got up and walked out. I went straight to I phoned the doctor and got an appointment and got signed off. And I didn't really feel better until the September. And that was when I finally handed in my notice and said, this isn't for me. I'm not going back to the law. And I went to the job centre again, life coming full circle. And but at that point, I resolved that there was no way I could ever work for anyone ever again. I was so vehement about it. It's unbelievable. Looking back on it, I was like, I'm never working for anybody ever again. I need to set up my own business because I don't want to answer to anyone. That was just so awful. I can't do that. And up until that point, I think what's interesting is that I would never have done that. That would have been far too risky for me as an individual. You know, in terms of talking about your values and how you approach life, I've always seen entrepreneurship as, oh no, that's not for me. That really isn't for me. I can't afford that risk. I like the security.
You don't typically get a lot of lawyers that go out and start their own business, because lawyers are often quite risk averse.
Well, it's
part of the nature of their job, nature of their training. They don't take risk. But you thought, do you know what? I'm going to leave law behind. I'm going to set up a camper van business.
Yes.
Which is probably as far stretched from lawyer that you could possibly imagine. What possessed you to want to do that?
But it comes back to this. I cannot imagine working for anyone else. I really couldn't imagine working for anybody else.
But camper vans.
We had the camper van, and we weren't using it as much because by 2017 my children were doing 11, 12, and doing a lot more stuff at the weekends. So we weren't going away in it the same way. And so I had the idea that, should we sell it and use the money to live off while I decide what to do? And I actually thought it'd be a better idea to try and rent it out so that we could keep it, because we loved it, absolutely adored it. I loved what it represented in terms of freedom, because while I was so stressed, that was the one place where I could sleep. We'd go away for the weekend and I'd sleep for 12 hours. Whereas at home, I couldn't sleep. I was insomnia central.
So it kind of became your happy place then?
Yeah, it was very much a happy place, yeah. So I wasn't really ready to part with it at all. So we came up with the idea that we would rent it. And that would be like a springboard for me to learn all the skills about websites, social media, marketing, and it would just be, then we could keep the van. It was being able to keep the van and not working for anyone else. So that was actually all quite useful. To take that a step back, you're probably thinking, straight into website, straight into social media. I actually had a blog prior to that. It was like documenting all my running, triathlon, open water swimming. So I'd already got a blog. So I was a little bit used to WordPress. I'm not saying I was not like you guys, but I was already sort of proficient enough and knew my way around enough for a website. And I'd done social media, obviously, to promote the blog. And I'd also worked on the social media for the last law firm that I was in. So there was already some background there that enabled me to take that step. And I'll tell you this, because this is the power of suggestion. My cousin, who lives in America, but my parents were Irish, he told me, and I didn't actually know this because my grandparents all died before I was born, and that my grandparents on my dad's side owned quite a successful, like an agricultural shop, but for the entire district. It was the place to go. And I was like, oh, so they were entrepreneurs. Right, okay. And
so
suddenly,
it's in the blood then, you just didn't know.
Well, that's it. It was kind of, you might think that sounds a bit ridiculous, but it just gave me a perspective shift. That's all it was. It was kind of like, well, actually, if my relatives can do that, then why not me? So that's how it all came about, and how it just seemed to feed into then the writing that I enjoy doing. Because social media is about writing, and it's changing, obviously. It's a lot more about videos now, but back in 2017, there was a lot more about, yes, the image.
So how did you find renting out the camper van then? Because I know you and I both know a couple of people with camper vans, and there's one guy in particular I think we both know, Michael Roberts, who loves his camper van, and if he could marry that camper van, I think he would. The idea of him renting that camper van out to somebody else would be like loaning his daughter to somebody for the evening. It's just not something that's going to happen. So how did it feel, you give in somewhere where you've already said it's your happy place, you were able to sleep in it and get a full 12 hours undisturbed sleep, giving it to a complete stranger?
It was tough. There's no doubt about it. It was tough initially, but then eventually we came to see it as the business. It was the business, and a cautionary tale. If you are thinking about renting out your camper van, then be prepared for quite a lot of damage, because it happens a lot. It happens a lot. And people aren't malicious. There's only one or two people who are a bit careless, as in don't care. how it got damaged. Most people were okay about it, but it's just life, isn't it? And you just have to think it's a hunk of metal. So it might have been my happy place, but that's what for me then. That's not where I am now. It's now serving me in a different way. It's kind of, this is part of the business. It's it's a godsend. It's done this for me, now it's doing this for me. What more can you ask for, really? So that's why you have insurance, and that's why you have metal. I've got to be honest, as you know now, I'm not doing that anymore. Yeah. And if I'm being really honest, that the damage side of things wore us down a little bit. So it just did get a bit wearing. Oh yeah, I'm sorry, we damaged it, and then you're repairing it again and again and again. And also being tied to the house. It's kind of the irony of being in a business that involves traveling, and you can't go traveling yourself. So so that's for those two reasons. That's why we stopped that last year. Yeah, March 24 stopped. So so we don't have a camper van now, which I'm quite sad about. But I think we also needed a break from owning it. We needed a break now from owning it so that we can put that behind us, and then eventually hopefully we'll get another one in the future. So
so you will get another one. You will replace it.
I think so in the future. We just need a bit of a break. This is just life's twists and turns, isn't it? The children, the kids, not children anymore, still my children, I guess. But they're 20s, as I said. So they're at university now. So everything's a wee bit more expensive. So we just, camper vans on hold for now, and then maybe we'll get one eventually. So
what was the worst damage that it had when it came back?
The weirdest, I'll tell you the weirdest one, because there's quite a few. Well, there's quite a few. Always the top roof always seemed to be the flashpoint, because the roof, you push it up, you have it down when you're driving, push it up to give you the headroom. That's often got quite damaged. The weirdest one that caused the most damage, but inconsequent, it's not, basically it didn't correspond with the actual damage. Someone put their phone on the air vent. They brought one of these things where you stick your phone on and you can put your phone on the air vent so you can see it.
Yeah, I've got one myself in my car. Yeah.
So it broke the air vent.
Oh.
But which you'd think, oh well, just pull that out and put it in again, maybe £30-40 for a new air vent. We had to have a whole new dashboard.
No.
Because they couldn't fix it that way, and we explained why. And then I can't remember the detail, but it was more like £200 as opposed to 30. My initial thought it would be 30 or 40. So yeah, so that wasn't great, really. I felt a bit sorry for the person because obviously they had to pay. I did feel a bit sorry for the person on that one, but so yeah, so that was good. But overall, I enjoyed it. I don't want to leave that with a really negative picture, because compared to the law, it was a doddle.
Yes, and less stress, I imagine, as well.
A lot less stress. There was obviously a bit of stress involved, and the worst bit was someone bringing it back damaged, but it's going out again the same day, so you're having to somehow either try to fix it quickly, or you'd have to offer something else, or you'd have to give a discount. Blah, 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 blah. So, but what I enjoyed the most was people coming. I've always wanted to do this. I've always wanted to be in a camper van, and now I'm living the dream. And people were just so happy and excited, and then they come back and they've had a great time. If they've damaged it, then that's not so good. But generally, I'm making it sound like everybody damaged it. Not everybody damaged it, but the people that came back and were having a great time. I just loved that. It was kind of like helping people facilitate their dreams. So I did enjoy that aspect of it.
It was a Volkswagen T5, wasn't it? I know Michael Roberts' Volkswagen is a T4. From what he puts on social media, you can damage that by looking at it. I presume yours was a bit more robust than his.
Well, mine was newer than his. So, and then I replaced. So basically, at one point, I did have two vans, and I was managing the bookings for somebody else's. So I had three on the website. And then I sold. They were getting a wee bit tired with all the different. They were getting a wee bit tired, so I sold them both and bought one brand new one. So yes, that was a little bit more robust. So but I'd love to tell you that I thought having a new one would mean it wouldn't get damaged. I know how naive I was. So yeah, but yeah, I think Michael's is just a bit older. Yeah, just a bit older, I think. But you've got to admire the love and care you've put into that van. I do.
He's had it rebuilt a couple of times. If anyone's listening to this thinking I would like to rent my own camper van out, what are the top three things you say they should look out for before they do anything?
Make sure you've got a really good rental agreement, a good contract, lots of good terms and conditions. Obviously, I did draft my own.
Solicitor, yeah.
I didn't have to pay for a lawyer to do that. But, if you haven't got a friendly lawyer to look over it for you, then I would unfortunately recommend that you spend some money getting that done and make sure those terms and conditions are really watertight. I would also make sure that you do a really good inspection before and after. That I had an inspection sheet and I would mark it. Oh, here we go. It's the postman. Really, I would mark it all up and that was a good note for that.
I can't hear anything.
Oh, okay. The dog's gone a bit ballistic. But anyway, the sheet, just make sure it's all really marked up. I think you can get a lot more now that are apps, and you can probably, and I would video in photo occasionally as well, and just mark it all up and make sure everybody was happy with that was the pre-existing damage. And then crucially, when it comes back, make sure that you inspect it thoroughly. It always feels a bit awkward. And people, as I said to you, people come back, I loved it. And then you go, I need to just check. And it really it's a bit of a mood hoover, shall we say. But you really need to do it. I didn't do it once and I got caught out. So, So yeah, that would be the 3 top tips. Unfortunately, they're really boring.
Boring, but they'll save you money.
They'll save you money. They'll save you money, and they might save you a little bit of heartache as well. So, so yeah, that would be the top tips. And then
it's the same as well. I think from the person renting the van side as well, they should be doing a look around and inspecting it as well. Same as when you get a rental car, because there's no point bringing the car back to say Enterprise or other than a company, and they say there's this scratch on the side and it was there before it, but you've got no proof.
Exactly. And I like to treat people as I wanted to be treated. So one of my values is integrity. So I would never, ever try and fill a fast one. But as you say, not everybody's like that. And I think a lot of these hire companies, the hire doesn't make them any money. It's trying to recover the damage. It's trying to say that the tires were, better. You know what I mean? Yeah. So
last time I rented a car, it was from Enterprise, and I don't want to slag them off or anything, but the guy giving me the car probably asked me 4 or 5 times about the insurance for the car that they wanted me to take out, saying that if I didn't take that insurance out and it had so much of a scratch on it, it was like £500 excess, it's going to cost me. If somebody clips the wing mirror, it's going to cost you £500. It's only £120 for the insurance. I don't want it. I don't need it. And they were so forceful with it. That's clearly where they make their money. That's their upsell. That's where they get their commission, getting people to buy those little extras. And it was really off-putting. Maybe I don't want to do it again.
No, I just had was lucky enough to have just a self-hire policy, self-drive policy it was called. So I didn't even have to go to the insurance company every time. I just did the hire. I just had to do it's like a money laundering check. I had to check you are who you say you are. I had to check your DVLA. But that bit was all fine, really. So it's not for the faint-hearted, to be honest. If you are not a lawyer and reading all the terms and conditions, you're like, oh my goodness, what am I getting myself into here? It does sound quite frightening, but bear in mind that those terms and conditions are covering worst case scenario. So just it's not always like that, but you need it because it happens. So you need to be careful with it, really. So,
but as you say, the camper van's gone now until you decide to get another one in the future. So
I'm not right now. I am not right now.
In the future.
In the future, just for me. Just for me.
When you're ready to quieten down. But you are now working in events.
Yeah, sort of events. To be honest, I've got. I kind of consider myself like, and I know this is to purists like yourselves, and I know you've obviously got your digital marketing agency, and I have been to you guys for help. You are very good. Yeah. Shout out to Emily and your team.
Oh, let's not shout out to Emily too much. She gets enough praise.
Oh, bless. But and I know it's overlaps, and they are different disciplines, but I kind of see myself as marketing and communications now. And I kind of see myself as doing that for smaller businesses that don't have the budget, basically. So, and so it's carved out because my major client is an events company in Scotland. So you are right, I'm in events, but I don't see myself as, I suppose, specialising in that, I guess. But it is where a bit of expertise has arisen, really. So,
so what is it you do for them then in terms of marketing?
So in terms of marketing, I mean, it did start as purely being social media writer and manager. But now I'm actually doing the marketing plan. We're looking at how do we get sponsorship? How do we manage I do all the communications. So there's always an athlete guide that goes out. So I'm not saying I write it. Richard writes it, who's the chap behind the event director, but I make sure that it's all okay and it fits the brand. I'm quite interested in branding to make sure that things fit the brand and the brand voice. So it's a kind of wrap around, and the communications obviously comes in with I have written a couple of press releases. As I say, I tried to make sure I've written some policies. We wrote an accessibility policy, which we didn't have. In terms of adapting making sure that people with disabilities can access the events, particularly swimming events. And so there's all of that, and then the marketing is just how do we get more sales? I mean, that's it in a nutshell, isn't it? So then obviously social media, the writing, just everything really in terms of getting that message out.
Of those, in terms of how do we get more sales? What have you found to be the most effective that you've done for them, or that they've put into practice?
I just I'm not going to sell myself very well here, but I think sometimes it's but it is just about the reputation of the events. To be quite honest, it's almost like their friends are saying, "Oh, I did the Go Swim event at Lochte, and it was amazing." And then that's so it's just trying to convey that, just trying to convey that it's a serious brand. We've actually grown it quite a lot now. When I started, I think I started working with Richard back in 21, just after the pandemic. I can't remember the exact figures, but at Loch Lomond, which is what we call the flagship swim, I think there was about 600 or 700 swimmers, and this year we had 1,100 or just about.
Wow.
So yeah, we've just, and I think it's just constant. If I'm going to do myself a favour, plug myself, it's just that like everything in life, consistency. It's consistency of posting, consistency of being on the website, make sure the website's up to date, it looks good, the social media's got the messages going out all the time. We don't have to be viral all the time, but you have to have good information, consistent branding, nice messages, great photos, which we've always got because we have got a great photographer. And I'm lucky enough now to have 4 years of great photographs to call on. And just, I suppose it's just that consistency, really.
Photographs is important, isn't it? It's so much easier to do social media and any sort of marketing if you've got great photographic images from the client themselves.
Definitely. And I think that it'd be interesting to have this chat with you and see what you think, because there's a lot of stuff in the media recently about, well, is social media dead? Because, are we actually using it as a social media? So if you go onto Facebook, for example, probably only 10%, if that, of the feed is from your friends, and most of it's either adverts or BBC One plugging their show, or the latest music artists plugging their singles. So it's become much more of a kind of almost like an entertainment platform, and that does make it harder for smaller brands that don't have the budget to compete with, really. So it's a case of keeping up with it. So there's a lot more scope now. We do have videos. I do try and get videos, and I try and put the amazing photos that we've got together as a slideshow to make it a video and a reel. But it is tricky, and we just have to keep watching, because it really has. Social media has changed quite dramatically even since 2017. As I say, because 2017, I'm pretty sure it was people were reading it, and now they don't want to read it. They want to listen.
Continually evolving social media. We find many businesses are using Facebook to promote their business by posting organic content on their pages, and it's, for the most part, it's a complete waste of time because people aren't seeing it, people aren't reading it, people aren't interacting with it. And depending on the age demographic they're going for as well, if it's a younger demographic, then it's even more of a waste of time because Facebook isn't used by people of that age. They need to be using things like Snapchat and TikTok for that, because that's what people are using, and people are going to TikTok and searching now. Google isn't being searched as much. It's like for the first time in history, Google searches are down because people are searching on TikTok, they're searching on Instagram, they're searching on AI, they're searching on ChatGPT, they're searching on Claude. That's where they're looking for things. And if businesses aren't adapting to that and they're not using AI, if not to create content themselves, which I think is a bad use of AI, they should be the ones that are appearing in the searches when people are searching for it. But this over-reliance on Facebook and doing what we're always done, we'll go to Facebook and we'll post something on our Facebook page there, that's great. Probably 4 or 5 people will see it. It's a waste of time.
We're doing all right, if I can buck the trend a little bit, on this swimming page in particular. We're doing all right there because we actually have a real core of engaged fans.
Is it a page or is it a group?
It's a page.
It's a page.
It's actually a page, but I think because people come out of the events with open water swimming does give you a buzz. So it's an adrenaline.
Yeah, if you're posting pictures on it and it's got people in it that are following the page, then they'll engage with it and they'll tag themselves in or they'll share it with their friends because it's them. That's a great way to do it. Yeah, we've got a client that does race meets, so they do track days, they do marathons, that sort of thing, and they're posting images all the time of all the athletes that are taking part in it, and they're being shared by them because it's pictures of them. That's fine. That's a good use of it. It's when other businesses do it that don't have that community aspect and they're just posting stuff on their page thinking this is going to get me business, this is going to get me inquiries. It really isn't. You do unless you've got that big community aspect, which obviously the open water racing has, then it's not going to work for most people.
Yeah, no, it is interesting. So it's just evolving. So I suppose what I'm saying is maybe my career. So I've gone from civil servant to lawyer to entrepreneur, campervan owner, business owner, to marketing communications. And that. Can I just touch on this point? Because this is something that exercised me quite a bit for probably between 2019 and 2022. I kept toying with the idea of getting a marketing qualification, because obviously I actually haven't been quite academic. I was actually quite a sort at school. I don't mind admitting I loved school and I loved learning and I loved books and,
you love a qualification, you love a certificate.
I do, yes. You probably got me in one, Darren.
I thought you might.
I love being told I'm great. That doesn't everyone.
Yeah.
So I toyed with the idea of getting a marketing qualification, and I was looking at the various ones on, to do an online part-time qualification. I mean, you just kind of get lost in the, oh, is this really a good qualification to get? How do I know if this is any good, basically, without going back to uni? So I ended up on the fence and didn't do anything about it. And I was talking to a friend in my running group, and she says, you're probably equating getting a qualification with being a lawyer, because obviously you do have to have a qualification for that. He said, but if you've got the experience, what does it matter? And I says, you know what, you're so right, because in this day and age as well, you've got YouTube to help you through. Canva, what people don't know is the graphic design. Most people probably do know and have heard of Canva, but graphic design, I'm not artistically inclined at all. It's the one subject at school that I failed. I got A's for everything else and failed art. I learned to use Canva by just sitting on YouTube. There's so much stuff out there, isn't there? So, so I think, again, a takeaway for anybody listening to this is think, career change. You don't necessarily need a qualification. It might be desirable, and I'm not saying I wouldn't do something in the future, but I don't think that you need it. And here's an interesting thing as well, that I signed up last year to do, because my other string to my bow is the running group that I've got. I have to mention Miles Mileage, otherwise they'll go a bit nuts if I don't mention them. But I signed up for a strength and conditioning course, because that's the big thing at the moment in fitness. And it does help, obviously, to be stronger and try and prevent some injuries while you're running. And I signed up for that last year, but realised quite quickly that that's nothing without the experience of actually doing it. So for me, that's a lesson, and I thought maybe I could pass it on. That you don't always need the qualification, and actually experience is just as important.
I would agree with that. Yeah, you don't need qualifications unless it's something you personally want to do, because you want to have it for yourself, because it's something you want to see whether you can get it. You certainly don't need it. I mean, my nephew went to university and did I think it was a computer science degree, but he dropped out in the second year because he thought, this is a waste of my time. He's started a business in SharePoint for companies like NatWest, and what they called the company where you book the flights. Was it Easy? Oh, I can't. One of the basically one of the big holiday booking companies. He built the whole basket for them. He then sold that business. He's got something like 1.5 million. He's now in Chicago, and he's setting up another business for that same company for America. And he dropped out of university, so he hasn't got a degree. So yeah, you don't need a degree to be successful. You don't need a degree to say that you're good at it.
I wasn't even thinking a degree. It was a diploma. It was like a 1-year marketing diploma.
None of it's necessary, because as you say, there's very little you can't learn from the how to do from YouTube. There's very little you can't pick up from that. And then it comes to application, what you do with it, and the experience that you get. So when we're recruiting for people, for example, people coming with degrees, just because they got degrees doesn't mean they're any good at what they do. It's what have they done on their own bat? What websites have they built? What marketing have they done? What social media have they done? It's all very well coming in, oh, I've done a degree in computer science with a module on web design. I'm qualified to be a web designer. What websites have you built? Oh, well, none, because we didn't do any on our course. Well, then you're clearly not interested, are you? It's clearly not for you. So yeah, I would say, unless you physically want that certificate to stick on the wall, and if you do, that's fine. Some people love a certificate. You see, you went, oh, I'm not sure that you do want it. I think you're going to do it. You're going to do it anyway, I think. But you don't need it. It's not going to teach you anything really that you can't get from your own experience and from
definitely. Online. Yeah, definitely. So I just thought that might help people if they're thinking. But given that my story is about career change, and I've already done 1, 2, 3, possibly more. I've still got another 12 working years, so who knows?
Yeah. So what's the next career change that you're going to do?
No, I don't. I'm just interested. I'm just watching social media now with interest, because if that changes, then who knows what's next, really. So, I think bringing it back to where we came in with 10-year-old Anne, she really wants me to be a writer, and I think I ought to. Well, get emotional. So she does want me to be a writer.
She does. Yeah.
Owe it to her to explore that a bit more. I don't know where that's going to take me. I think I need to get another
book. Do you
blog.
still have that book that you wrote?
No, I don't, unfortunately. My mum was a terrible one for throwing things away.
Never throw stuff away.
Oh dear, I know. So, I don't have it. I can picture it though, and I can picture all the time I spent writing it. So, I think the first step must be to get a blog going again, and I'm going to state this on here so that I actually do it. Perhaps get a Substack going, and just get writing. I think I don't quite know that there is an element of time. I am already quite busy. It's quite interesting as well because everybody's going on about having a plan and a 5-year plan and this, and you tell me to have a website, and I don't even have a website. But the work has come in. I have had enough work to keep me going. This year's been my most successful. So I think also you don't always need a plan. You just maybe need to keep your head down.
Speaking of not needing a plan, I mean, you mentioned getting a blog going and you want to do a book. One way that you can do a book, and I know loads of people that have done this, if you set out to write a book, it's quite daunting. You say, right, I'm going to write 30, 40, 50,000 words on a book, and I'm going to do so many words per day. It's really hard to do that and stick to it. But if you're writing a blog, and you're writing blogs every day on a particular subject, whatever it may be, I've seen people then take those blogs and form that into a book. That is your book. It's just much easier to write a 500-word blog or a 400-word blog once a week than it is to try and write a book. And then you'll find that everything you've written over the last year or the last 2 years, that's a book. It just needs to be put together, stuck together.
Yeah.
And I've seen loads of people do that and release it as a book, and it works.
Right, okay. Well, it's good advice. So I do think I need to get the blog. I had the blog, and it was all about fitness and triathlon and open water swimming because I was getting into all of that at the time. I've spent a lot of this year. I do a lot of reading. I didn't realise I was looking at when I actually bought that book so that I could tell you that I bought it in. I couldn't remember when I bought it. I bought it in 2013. So this career change has been festering for quite a while. I'm trying to find your actual purpose. And, again, listening to a whole lot of podcasts has really helped. There's loads out there. I was really surprised at the High Performance podcast, how good it is. It's almost like a little therapy. The guy, this Jake Humphries.
It's got Rick Astley on it. It's got to be good.
Well, and you have to pick it carefully. There might be some people on there, but there's been some really good episodes. The one with Delia Smith was really she's not everybody's cup of tea, and she said a couple of slightly left field things at the beginning, but actually a lot of it was really interesting. And she's in her 80s now, so she's lived a life. So she's got things to say, and I just found it was really interesting. Anyway, and How to Feel by Elizabeth Day, that's been a favourite. Again, kind of that, because I suspect, like a lot of us, fear holds you back. And it's the fear of, what if everybody likes my blog? Well, you're going to have to try, aren't you? So, because
that can hold you back from writing a book. Who's going to read a book that I've written? It could hold you back, as you say, from writing a blog. It could hold you back from posting on social media. Why should I post on social media? Who's going to read what I've done? It can hold you back from doing a podcast. I know loads of people that would like to do a podcast, but they think, who's going to listen to me? People will. People will. Everybody has something interesting to say. Everybody has something that's inside them that's worth getting out.
Definitely. So, and there was a quote as well. I can't remember. I need to find a source of it, and it will go on my blog as soon as I start it. It might be Winston Churchill, but it was like, even if you set out to do something, and nobody likes it, one person will be happy because you've done it. That I'm paraphrasing dramatically, but that's it. It's kind of like, if I set this blog up, at least I'll be happy. 10-year-old me will be happy. So I don't know.
And you owe it to 10-year-old you. 10-year-old you is the most important person to you.
She definitely is. She definitely is. So yeah.
You got me thinking.
So that might be the last career change. I have no idea. I'm just interested, as I say, and you're obviously a social media expert, so it was kind of interesting to see what you were thinking. But it does look as if social media is just going to keep on evolving. So who knows in 12 years' time? You know,
12 years' time, yeah. Who can say?
It might even be dead. It might even be dead.
Could well be. AI might have something of its own that replaces it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not well versed enough to actually sort of predict what's happening, but it does seem to me that people really don't want to post their lives online anymore. And it'll just become another entertainment forum. So basically, everybody's going about the decline of TV and people on their phones. I reckon we've just replaced watching TV with being on our phones. And, you know, we're probably not spending dramatically more. I suppose it is. The argument is that phones are slightly more addictive than the TV. But, you know, if you're watching a good TV program, you're just going to sit there, aren't you? You're not going to change. So why is that different from being on your phone? So
a lot of people now are dual screen. They'll look at the TV program and they'll look at their phone at the same time.
I try not to do that. I really try not to do that. If I'm watching TV,
it takes a lot of willpower not to do that.
Do you think?
Oh yeah. Even when you're watching something you really enjoy that you've looked forward to, you still find yourself, your arm reaches out for your phone and just checks. I wonder what someone said on WhatsApp. And you go, oh no, I'm watching this.
Yeah. I must admit that's the one thing. I still have my Twitter account, but I deleted the app, and I watched Celebrity Cheaters last week. And as soon as it finished, I thought I'd love to go to Twitter and see what everybody's thinking. I really would. And but that's interesting to me because it's kind of like, actually, yeah, we are still interested in connecting with people and seeing what's what. Because I was watching it on my own. Husband's not interested, and obviously the kids are at uni. So it was kind of like, but I want to say about Alan and Paloma and, you know, and all the rest of it. So anyway, that's a total sidebar.
We're almost out of time, but you've got me thinking there now. I've been thinking for a while I should delete Twitter because I use it less and less. I've not tweeted for a very long time, and whenever I look at Twitter, I'm disappointed. It annoys me. It's just either garbage. Twitter's algorithm from Elon Musk is deliberately showing you things that are going to annoy you because it wants to enrage you to respond. That's how it's working. And I just think, what's the point in having all this negativity in my life?
Yeah.
Do I really want to open an app and see the latest comments from Piers Morgan and Tommy Robinson, neither of which I follow? But that's what I'm seeing anyway.
Well, that's where I was.
I'm going to delete it.
Yeah,
you
definitely.
Made my mind up for me.
It's a shame though, because you know, before he took it over, that's where I met a lot of my running tribe. Because I found a lot of people, and they became friends in real life. I'm here to tell you that the people that I met through, it was called Run Chat. Hashtag UK Run Chat. You just had to put that in and see what people were thinking. They had a chat every Sunday, and I met quite a lot of people, and I met them in real life then because we'd meet up races. And so that for me was the power of social media for good. It's just a shame it's become such a success.
As you say, Anne, yeah. As you say, social media evolves, and Twitter has evolved into something that isn't really useful anymore.
No,
it's not really relevant for most people.
Get rid.
I will. I'm going to do it. I'm going to get rid. So, Anne, anyone listening to this thinking I'd love to get in contact with you, I'd love to talk to you about potentially renting out my own camper van, what advice you could give, or I'd like to talk to you about social media, what's the best way they can get in touch with you?
I think at the moment probably on my Instagram, which is not the most professional because it's Anne.Currie88 is the handle on Instagram. But
we'll pop a link to that below the podcast.
We can do, yeah. And I'll send you the links. I'll send you the details of the books there's also a bit because initially having a camper van business wasn't enough on its own. So I did other bits and pieces. So that's what you call a portfolio career. So there's quite a good book on that as well. So again, for people if they want to take away, it's quite an interesting book to sort of help you build that. In terms of some people might be thinking build a side hustle before you leave the main job. So you could think about that as well. So so on Instagram we'll give you my handle.
All right, we'll pop the links to the books that you mentioned below the podcast as well. So anybody listening, look in the show notes on Twitter. On Twitter, I've got Twitter on the brain now. No, not Twitter. Ignore Twitter. It's not going on Twitter. Look in the show notes on iTunes or Spotify. If you're on YouTube, then scroll down. It's in the description below the video. So Anne, thank you very much for being on the podcast. I'd loved hearing how you've gone from legal eagle to camper hippie to social media a practitioner. It's been great. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you.